have any comments?
Yeah, I just want to comment. I'm actually glad to see Bank Plus, because Bank Plus has a pretty good record for educating community members about how to use their finances, how to invest their money, how to take care of things that they are going to be purchasing with those funds. So actually, I'm really glad to see Bank Plus on here, because I know I'm privy to their commitment to being sure that resources are used by the people that we represent in the community every day.
I asked that question, I would think about Liberty might be considered. That's why I asked the question.
I understand. Yes. I need to see Liberty doing some programming.
Another question? Okay, 15.
I understand it's about Smith Wills Stadium, and what is the organization that's leasing Smithfield? Is that what it is, a lease?
It's a lease agreement that we crafted some years ago that expired, I believe, in January. We're trying to get to extend it for a year, negotiating particular terms. Parks and Rec is over that area, and numbers indicate that it would cost us much more money, 3 times more money to operate than what we're spending right now on operation of the stadium. So we need to try to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And this allows us time to do that, this 1-year extension. And AC has been involved in negotiations, so we're
the Mississippi Baseball Club, who is that? You know any people that's in there? What is that, a group of 5, or is it a corporation, or a group of 1 or 2 people, or what is it?
It's AC Germans from Parks and Recreation. It's a group of 30 people.
30 people?
3.
Who are they?
Conor Maloney and Calvin Wells, and can't recall the other gentleman. There's one other gentleman.
First name was again?
Conor Maloney.
Same one was. Okay, now what kinds of things have they been doing with the stadium? I'm assuming they have baseball games, but is it like college, pro, high school, or a combination of everything? But what are we doing?
Actually, they have a combination of all those things you just mentioned. Belhaven is a regular. They play just about all their home games. Of course, they have a lot of other things too. They have marketing for anything. As you know, we don't have a professional baseball team, so they have pretty much do what they can. It's about
How are they doing?
according to their paperwork, not very well. And that's why we're trying to figure out what we should do. Quite frankly.
Okay, good. Let me jump across the street. That's on the what we call that, I guess the north side of Lakeland Drive. On the south side of Lakeland Drive, there's another baseball diamond, numerous baseball diamonds. What's that called again?
Likely deep baseball.
Okay, and we own that, and you manage that directly or what?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what kind of sports? I mean, what kind of age groups, or what do we doing there? Are we doing just high school or what we call sandlot, or what are we doing?
There's satellite, I know of that, but you're right. The high school uses it primarily, and that's pretty much what they use for. Of course, when there's an overflow on the other side of the street, they also use it.
What would be the relationship between them and, say, a place like Grove Park? Okay, I mean, do they compete against each other, or are they the same? It's totally different operations, the same league, different leagues, or what?
Are you speaking about
I think AC is talking about the field just south of Smith Wills. You're talking about the set of fields that are south of Lakeland Drive, North Jackson Baseball.
right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
North Jackson Baseball, that's what it's called.
Yes.
And like, for instance, I'm familiar with Grove Park. Okay, and I know that community people pretty much running You have, I think, it's probably one of the places that President used to call balls and strikes, I guess. Is that one of the places, President?
Yeah.
Okay, things of that nature. So that most of us have been through that. I'm a little less familiar with that other formation over there.
Right, it's formed the same way as Grove Park. They, as a matter of fact, all of the youth agreements came by to the city council for approval. So it's the same format.
Okay. And I'm not trying to be facetious about this, but I'm just a little curious. I've been there several times, just driving through, really not to see a game, just kind of trying to turn around up in there. It doesn't seem like there's very many quote-unquote minorities playing up in there. Okay. I mean, why is that? I mean, Jackson is an 85% black city. It'd be kind of hard for me to believe that a field that's just run at random for anybody to join who wants to join would have very few of us playing there.
Well, and to be frank with you, can't answer that question, although it's open to anybody. And I know it's open to anybody because there are some minorities there. I believe the cost is a little more expensive having those Jackson than the Grove or any of the other ones, Forest Hill, Level Woods. But it's certainly open to anybody. And I'm not going to speculate as to why one would not go there.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't speculate, but we need to be on top of it because we need to make sure there's no kind of discrimination going on.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's open to everybody.
I see some people shaking their head, but I just think that we need to be vigilant. And as far as I'm concerned, Grove Park too. Anybody wants to play Grove Park should be able to play Grove Park. They want to play it. But years ago, long before you were I probably even worked in this position. I happened to be out there and saw a very unfortunate incident, which was race related, in terms of people calling little black pitcher names and things of that nature. So I'm just a little sensitive to that, and I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Also, I could say, having been out there a lot as well, I do think that in some ways the minority demographic is changing, but I've also heard reports that there's a lot of that actually a lot of folks are wanting more minority participation over there, and there's kind of a because of the I guess the competition between the Grove Park and that area, that a lot of people they don't want minority folks to go over to that one because they want to stay at Grove Park, and I think that can work both ways as well. We need to make sure that that no matter who you are, that, like you say, it doesn't matter if you're white or black, we should really get both of those more level, where people are playing with each other, and the diversity is strong on both sides. And I hope that we do that, and I hope that there's no intimidation on either side, because we do need it to be more representative of the city. And but I do think it is becoming more one and one.
Yeah, and if people are choosing to go to different places, then that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But the other thing is, I guess, the level of maintenance of the different facilities. The one that we're talking about seems to be far better maintained than Grove Park. Now, I don't live near Grove Park, but you can straighten me out if I'm wrong. The president lives over there, I think, and that too far. So,
Let me say this. I've been involved with these little league things for many years and all that. And the problem that we have, Councilman, I'm going to be straight up with you. Those people in North Jackson, parental involvement is a lot heavier over there. I mean, parents come over there and fix the field, they buy batting cage, they do all that stuff for the children. And I know that, and that's why it looks better, and that's why it kept up better. It's because they had more parental involvement. AC, you know that. And because Mr. What's the name I always talk about, the sport, Jackson Public School and all that. But he got on me because we put gobos out there at Grove Park, and they stayed about a month. Somebody tore them up, tore them down. And then he gonna tell me, why can't the city put gobos back up there? You got to take care of stuff that you have out there, you know. I'm just being straight up about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, Councilman, that we have got a problem that we have. I mean, we just got the police out here and get people involved, you know, just like they're doing in the other parts. I mean, they don't. And the city doesn't buy those batting cage and all that kind of stuff. But you go over there now, Jack, they got everything, you know, because the parents get together because they feel the kids need these kind of things.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what would help me is our relative expenditures toward the two different parks. In other words, we can see exactly what we from the city are paying. We can probably handle that.
Well, that would be informative. And for instance, we just fixed a bathroom facility at Grove Park. Just put a sprinkler system in last year in a little small field there. We redid the scoreboards. So there's been we've been some extensive funding has gone, relatively extensive funding has gone to Grove Park. But let me just say about Grove Park and the condition it is in. Last year, Grove Park hosted a regional Little League tournament. And so you talk about diversity. There are people who came not only from inside the city, but within the state that had never been to Grove Park before. They had one time started with Mr. Cheatham, and they're trying to get a regional tournament. They will be getting another regional tournament over to Grove Park again this year. And so it's paying off the investments that we're making over there at Grove Park. But I would venture to say that we made more investment there than any other Little League field in the city.
Can I get a report on that? Okay, appreciate it.
I have one question on that. Who are the members of the Mississippi Baseball Stadium LLC, Baseball Club LLC?
Con Maloney, Kevin Wells, and there's another gentleman that I don't recall at this time, but I'll get that number for you.
And did you receive a phone call or speak with Mr. Lamar Alexander, not the U.S. Senator, but the one that lives in my ward? Because they were, speaking of this, was one of the things that President Blunt talked about. They were wanting to get permission, I think, to upgrade, that they were going to spend some money for the kids to upgrade some of the batting cages and some of that, but they needed to speak with someone. I thought I'd send them to you.
I apologize, I did speak to that one. Regarding the cage across the street.
And y'all are working on that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, it's $50,000. There's a $50,000 lease on it, right?
Excuse me.
And that's after the
First $50,000.
first $50,000 after expense. And do you know how much money the city had to put into that? I know the city making improvement too, right?
If any major expense, but the city is responsible for it. Other than that, no,
We haven't had any major expense for that. Okay.
I said that children who come and play there, the younger ones especially, who get to play on the turf, they feel like they're in the major leagues. It's really an experience for them.
You know, I would invite everybody out to see those young men play football. On Saturday, they start around 8 o'clock. I mean, they look like college players out there. They got their own cheerleaders. They got everything out there. I mean, they have a ball, and I think they age from about 9 to 14 or something like that. And they really play with you really enjoy yourself out there.
And the field that's right in front of Smith Wills is named for Michael Johnson, who came up through the ranks. I'm sure that you probably met up with him along the way, Mr. Johnson, who was tragically killed. He's Trey Johnson's first cousin. And we named the field for him.
Yeah, that's good, nice. But see, a lot of people are not aware of what's going on with the young people out there. But And these coaches put out a lot of time in working with these young people. They really, they do well.
My son-in-law coached out there for years with Barrett, my grandson, and they really do put in a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Okay, 17.
Anybody else did, but I had asked about it. This is a upgrade of an antenna site licensing site. Okay, is it a signing of a new agreement or is it?
Sid Holston Telecommunications. They already have existing infrastructure on this unit here. They're going from the 2G format, or second generation, to the 3G format, or third generation.
Okay, and what? Now I understand that 4G is supposed to be the state of the art nowadays. Right?
Yes.
What are we lagging behind in that, or?
And for what it's worth, this is PowerTel Memphis. It's T-Mobile we're talking about here. It's the company. The initial equipment that they put in from the inception of their service was of a European format, which is a little bit higher grade technology than what the United States started out with here. Therefore, they lag behind one generation, but yet they are equal to the fourth generation infrastructure that's in place, or is beginning to be put in place with all the care.
So what they do is this agreement is really a lease agreement. We lease.
In essence, the landlord.
How much do we make out of this agreement?
This particular one will net us $600 monthly or $7,200 annually for this portion of the upgrade. And I don't have a figure for what they're presently paying, but this will be in addition to
What they're paying
presently.
for?
That's correct, yes, sir.
How long is the lease that they're presently under for? Do you know that?
We run in 5-year terms. And I did not bring the agreement with me. I'd have to get back with you on that to give you the specifics on it. Thank you.
I had a question. It wasn't about this specific, but just because we were talking about towers and whatnot, I just wanted to know about wanted to update on the Eastover Tower and
Remember Road?
right,
Ceasefire signals out.
right.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Brad would normally be here, but he is at this very moment meeting with Mr. John Stratton with Ceasefire. And they are getting together kind of to refine the points of where this agreement is going to go on this tower that will be built in that area.
I'm anxiously awaiting seeing it as an order on the agenda.
As soon as we can work out the details.
If you have any trouble or problems, please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, 19.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to look at this. I saw Ms. Shakespeare's name on it, which made me assume that it was a grant of some sort. And if it is, what's this grant, and what do we typically use it for? And my final question would be, how much is this a portion of the grant that we're using?
Good morning, Renee Shakespeare, City of Jackson Police Department Financial Projects Coordinator. Yes, sir, this is a grant-funded purchase. This is one purchase under a $50,000 grant which was given to us by the United States Department of Homeland Security through the Mississippi State Department of Homeland Security. The overall grant was a $50,000 grant. This particular purchase is for a Segway X2 Patroller. And I know that many of you, of course, are familiar with what a Segway is. It's a personal transportation device. This particular Segway is designed specifically for law enforcement. It has some ballistics resistance housing on it and some other features that are specific to law enforcement. It will be utilized by our bomb team in the event that they have to disarm an explosive ordnance device. Sometimes it's necessary to take such a device and to move it away from a crowded area. And in order to do that swiftly and efficiently, this segue would be utilized. It would also be utilized to give those bomb team members who are working with the EODs an opportunity to quickly remove themselves from that location in case they want to remotely detonate that device.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Johnson, I really like this idea, and I would love the idea if we could see it some kind of a way moved into communities to assist with what I've been talking about. We can call it walking patrols. Segway patrols would be great. But I think it would help with the community policing piece that we want to see pushed a little further and give a little more personable police presence in neighborhoods and communities.
Certainly, we can and will look at deployment of officers into certain areas. In a lot of areas, most of our residential areas, it simply wouldn't work. I mean, we'd be competing with vehicle traffic. I mean, we don't have sidewalks and that kind of thing. But in other areas, downtown areas that are where there's dense population, Fondren area, it perhaps would be something to look at. But you would need the right kind of path for movement, and you wouldn't want to put them out in the streets to do that. So it would require us making some kind of assessment as to what areas would be best served.
Yeah, I like that assessment because I'm just considering the other. I see kids riding bikes and stuff in the neighborhoods, and sure that the bikes can do it the same ways can possibly do it in certain areas as well. Just don't cancel it out, man.
Well, I'm not counting it out. Just
look at the assessment.
Forewarning that what the requirement would be, but we'll look at it.
Okay.
Because I think the kind of need. I don't know why they move, but I do know that and I'm not sure I can play with bicycles in terms of doing.
I'll take some bikes.
Yeah.
I'll take a few bikes.
All right. Hey.
All right. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, 30. Councilman Woodward.
20.
20, I'm sorry.
All right, so just so I can be clear, Mr. Mayor, item number 20 is the claims docket that came up last week. Is that correct?
That's what's in the yes.
And item 21 is the new one, additional.
That's the current one, yes.
And on item 21, we have we gotten to the point where we put on this claims docket Mr. Patton's situation that he has finally been approved for the work that he's done. So claims docket.
I don't know.
Yes, we're under Mr. Patton. There are two invoices for Edward Patton on item number 21. They're on page 15 and 18.
Hallelujah. All right, on item 20 and on 21, let's go deal with both of them. But specifically on 20, we talked on Wednesday about the fact that there was some investigating, some things being looked at just to make sure that the bid process had been followed properly for the grass and weed contracts and all of that. And so before I can vote on 20 or 21, I need full assurance both from legal and from finance department that that everything as relates to grass and weed contracts and community improvement is on the up and up. So can I get that today from Mr. Unger and Mr. Anderson?
What do you mean up and up?
Well, they just said that they were going to, on Wednesday, it was stated that they were looking into any allegations, any questions as it related specifically to making sure that the bids had been opened properly and that they were that the lowest and best had been awarded and all of that. I was seeking confirmation for that.
Well,
and they were going to confirm that for us this week.
right. Well, I have not seen the results of any investigation, so I'm not sure that you can get that level of confirmation. We put forth these items with the understanding that all of the work has been performed and has been performed consistent with whatever standards we have. And I know that Kenneth had indicated that he was going to look into it. I would assume that that process is moving forward. But like I said, I haven't seen a report from him at this point.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you know, we have to vote on it, and it's interesting. I left here on Wednesday and went straight to lunch with the governor, who used to be, state auditor. And he reaffirmed for me, and even reminded me of some times past in the city of Jackson, that even though the mayor and even though the administration puts it on puts the docket on the agenda, we're the ones that vote on it. And so if we don't at least get assurance that, especially if there's just been a lot of questions about the process and how these things are awarded, if we don't have that assurance, then we can't in good faith vote for these claims without having concerns. And I still am of the mindset to remove all grass and weed contracts from the claims docket until we do get that report, or at least have someone come up here and assure us beyond just, pursuant to status quo, everything as far as we know is fine. I need a little bit more, just because the spotlight is on this right now, I need a little more oomph in my assurances. You understand?
I understand completely, and I understand also you have to vote your conscience and vote on the availability of every material that's before you. I've indicated to you that we've put these matters before you in good faith, that in fact the work has been done. You're asking for a level of investigation on insurance that, in addition to what we said, I'm just suggesting to you that's going to perhaps take more time than somebody saying up here, okay, we're going to get it to you next week. Because if there's any problem with our bidding process or anybody at fault, we want to make sure that we identify those situations and those individuals and take the appropriate action. And so we're not in a position to do that, in my opinion, right now. And so the assurance that I can give you is that it's our understanding that this work has been done to the standards that are satisfactory in the minds of the inspectors for all the weed seed work that's on the claims docket, and that those bids were submitted in accordance with our procedures, and the selection was made in accordance with our procedures. If, in fact, that turns up not to be the case, then you can rest assured that we're going to take the appropriate action against those parties who have violated any rules and regulations that we have.
Okay, so explain this to me, because you've got a lot more experience, haven't been here much longer than I have, but let's just lay out the scenario that we as council members vote for it and support it based on the knowledge we have today, and then it's identified that in fact that the city was wrong and that one of these contracts was improperly awarded or whatever. Let's just assume worst case scenario. I'm hoping none of that happens. But let's say it does. So then what? We're on the hook for having authorized expenditure for that.
Well, I'm not a lawyer. Perhaps you want to get some legal advice on that. But if there was a problem in the bidding process or selection process, that's no fault of yours. And, that's in somebody else's bailiwick as far as I can see. And if there were any problems, like I said, we're just as anxious as you are to identify what those problems are and to take whatever actions that are appropriate to correct the problems and deal